A very good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Lunchtime News live on MTV Sports with News First. I'm Shahin Jurangpati. Let's take a look at your headlines this afternoon. President Rajapaksa instructs the Ministry of Education to direct school children for a fitness examination before any sports tournaments. A new system formulated to conduct surgeries expeditiously on children who are on the Lady Ridgeway Hospital waiting list. Sri Lanka Sumadipala hands in nomination for the post of President of Sri Lanka Cricket. Nishant Ranatunga invited to contest for the post of Secretary. Chuck Hagel confirmed as the US Defense Secretary of State. President Mahinda Rajapaksa has instructed the Ministry of Education to direct school children for a fitness examination before any sports tournaments. Presidential Media Coordinating Secretary Vijayananda Herath says that the Ministry of Education, Health and Sports have been instructed to formulate an effective joint program for this purpose. The President had also instructed officials to coordinate this through teachers in charge of sports, principals and zonal education directors. Councillor of the Sri Lanka Permanent Mission in Geneva, Priyanga Wickramasinghe says that Sri Lanka should be encouraged in its reconciliation process rather than being singled out for any disproportionate attention in the Human Rights Council. Wickramasinghe made this statement by exercising a right to reply to a statement made by US Assistant Secretary of State for International Organizations Esther Bremer during the high-level segment of the 22nd Human Rights Council yesterday.
Esther Bremer, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for International Organizations, speaking at the 22nd UN Human Rights Council session in Geneva yesterday, said that the Council's work remains unfinished so long as Sri Lanka continues to fall short in implementing the recommendations of its own Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission report or in addressing the underlying sources of its long-standing ethnic conflict. Bremer added, quote, last year's HRC resolution encouraged brave civil society groups on the ground to continue their efforts, and the United States will introduce another resolution at this session to ensure that the international community continues to monitor progress, unquote. In response, Councillor of the Sri Lanka Permanent Mission in Geneva, Priyanga Wickramasinghe said that Sri Lanka is implementing a comprehensive process of reconciliation involving all communities based on the National Action Plan on the implementation of the recommendations of the LLRC. Speaking yesterday, Wickramasinghe said that Sri Lanka strongly rejects any unfair, unbiased, unprincipled and unjust approach that may be adopted by the Human Rights Council towards the protection and promotion of human rights of Sri Lanka. Councillor of the Sri Lanka Permanent Mission in Geneva, Priyanga Wickramasinghe reiterated that Sri Lanka is firmly of the view that this council should not embark upon or encourage either debate or any country-specific resolution by virtue of a singled-out process which would run counter to the founding principles which govern the mandate of the council. Wickramasinghe said doing so will clearly reflect an application of double standards.
Meanwhile, Dennis Rollins, the Senior Deputy Assistant Administrator of the Asia Bureau of the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, says that there is room for more progress in Sri Lanka in terms of resettlement of IDPs and reconciliation. She made this observation during a media briefing convened in Colombo today.
I think we all know that there are still areas that need to be addressed. In terms of some of the resettlements, I mean, some have been resettled, but others are still not on their land. There are serious land issues, serious security issues, particularly for women in the north. So there's a lot of progress that's been made, but there is room for more.
On to other local news. A media briefing was held at the National Youth Council in Maharagama regarding the 25th SHIP for the World Youth Program.
For World Youth Program is implemented by the Cabinet Office of Japanese government with few objectives. Some of those objectives are to broaden the global view of Japanese youth, to promote understanding between Japanese and foreign youth, to foster leadership of youth in different international domains, to establish networks among youth around the world. So these are the main objectives of this particular program. This will automatically develop the peace, then harmony among youth of the world.
The birthday of Venerable Ulapane Sumangala Thera, who is the national organizer of the United Bhikkhu Front, was marked yesterday at the Dharmayatana Vihare in Narayanpeta. Former Army Commander Sarat Fonseca, attorney at law Maitri Gunaratna and area residents attended the Bodhi Puja held yesterday. Books were also distributed among children at the event. Director of the Lady Ridgeway Hospital for Children, Dr. Ratnasiri Hevage, says that a new system has been formulated to conduct surgeries expeditiously on children who are on the hospital waiting list. Dr. Hevage points out that this measure was taken since it is important to perform certain surgeries before the child surpasses the required age limit. The director of the Lady Ridgeway Hospital notes that other surgeries that are conducted in the hospital will not be disrupted by the new system. Still in local news, an officer of the police special task force who had gone for a bath in the Muruthavala reservoir in Veerakatia has been reported missing. Our correspondent said that the officer was reported missing since last afternoon. He is a 23-year-old resident who is a resident of the Omara area in Walasmulla. The officer, who had arrived in the Muruthavala area on Friday, had gone for a bath in the Muruthavala reservoir with two of his friends. Meanwhile, two persons were injured when a bus belonging to the Bibila depot met in an accident on the Madagama Madulla main road last evening. The accident occurred when the bus plying from Madagama to Busalekanda could not climb a hill and had gone into reverse. Our correspondent said that the brakes of the bus malfunctioned. A deer which had been severely injured due to human activity was rescued by wildlife officers yesterday.
Officers attached to the veterinary unit of the Girithale Wildlife Office engaged in this operation to capture the deer which had fled into the dense jungle after it was injured. The officers employed various strategies in their operation. While the wildlife officers succeeded in capturing the deer, they discovered that it had sustained injuries to its neck when it was caught in a trap set by a hunter. Area residents say that several days ago they witnessed dogs chasing and biting the deer. The captive deer was taken to the Girithale Wildlife Office veterinary unit for further treatment.
Starting off with cricket news, Tilanga Sumitipala says that he invites Nishant Ranatunga to contest for the post of secretary from his faction for the upcoming Sri Lanka cricket elections. Sumitipala made this statement after submitting his nomination to contest for the post of chairman in the upcoming Sri Lanka cricket elections.
Tilanga Sumitipala, who is a former chairman of the Cricket Board and a former chairman of the Asian Cricket Council, handed in his nomination for the 2013-2014 Sri Lanka cricket elections to the Director General of Sports. There have been many requests made for us to contest, and that is why we have come forward. Mohan De Silva and Shami Silva are contesting for the posts of Deputy Chairman. Isman Narangoda is contesting for the post of Treasurer. Irvin Javardhan is contesting for the post of Assistant Treasurer. We requested Nishanta to come and join us and work as the Secretary. We think he is very talented and we are interested in working with him. I do not possess anything which are in contravention to the rules of the ICC as well as the laws of the country. There are no legal limitations which restrict me from contesting for positions in the SLC as well as the ICC. I am seeking election for an 18th year in office. The accepting of nominations for the SLC elections closes tomorrow.
Well, a comprehensive report on this story comes your way on our primetime news at 9 tonight. But in the meantime, on more sports news, people were seen leaving at the end of a memorial service for Riva's teen camp held by Oscar Pistorius in Pretoria, South Africa yesterday.
Oscar Pistorius held a memorial yesterday for Riva's teen camp, his girlfriend who was shot dead at his home on Valentine's Day. The evening service was held at the home of his uncle Arnold, where the Olympic athlete has been staying since he was released on bail, awaiting trial on a premeditated murder charge. Pistorius' reputation management firm said Pistorius had specifically requested the service as he remains in deep mourning for the loss of his partner Riva, whom he says he shot by accident, assuming an intruder had entered his home on February 14th. Pistorius was granted bail at 1 million rand or $113,000. The 26-year-old track star was also ordered to hand over his passports, turn in any guns he owns and keep away from his upscale home in a gated community in Pretoria, the scene of the crime. Pistorius, known as Blade Runner, became the first Paralympic track and field athlete to compete at an Olympic Games in London 2012.
And that wraps up your lunchtime news bulletin. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Shahan Jurangpati. Have a wonderful day with you.